What happens when beauty meets power and love dares to challenge pride? Watch how a black beauty tamed a cold billionaire. Lillian arrived in Seoul on a cold spring morning. The city was huge, bright and loud, full of people who moved fast, spoke faster, and didn't notice the quiet girl standing by the bus stop with 2 small bags. She had left everything behind in Nigeria, her home, her art studio, and her mother's voice telling her, "My child, go and make them see your light." But Seoul wasn't what she expected. Every job interview ended with polite smiles and the same words, "We will call you." No one called. After weeks of sleeping on a friend's floor and skipping meals, she found a job as a cleaner in one of the biggest hotels in the city, the Daehan Grand. It wasn't her dream, but it was a start. Every morning, she tied her curly hair into a bun, put on her gray uniform, and carried her cleaning bucket through the long, shiny halls. People passed her without looking twice. Some stared too long. Others whispered in Korean, thinking she wouldn't understand. But Lillian kept walking. Quiet. Proud. What they didn't know was that every night after work, she painted small, beautiful pieces of Seoul seen through her eyes. Her dream was still alive, hidden inside colors and hope. One evening, when she was cleaning the hotel lobby, fate decided to play its part. A tall man in a black suit stepped out of the elevator, looking at his phone. His guards followed him like shadows. Lillian didn't see him coming. She turned with her mop and splash! Dirty water poured over his shiny shoes and expensive suit. The guards gasped. The guests stared. The lobby froze. "I'm so sorry, sir," she said quickly. But the man looked down at her slowly. His face was sharp, his eyes cold. "Do you even know who I am?" he asked. Lillian's heart pounded, but she stood tall. "No," she said softly, "but you'll remember who I am." For the first time in years, someone had spoken to Lee Min-Ho that way. He was used to power. The kind of power that made people bow, smile too much, and agree with everything he said. His family owned one of the largest corporations in Korea, hotels, malls, tech companies, everything. He was the kind of man people feared before they even met him. But this woman, this cleaner, this stranger, she didn't flinch. He looked at her for a long time. Her dark skin glowed under the hotel lights. Her eyes were calm, proud, almost royal. Then, with a smirk, he said, "You've got courage, I'll give you that." And he walked away, and that was very unusual because the usual Min-Ho should have ordered her punishment. But that night, as he changed his ruined suit, he couldn't stop thinking about her. Who is she, he wondered. And more importantly, why did she make him feel something he hadn't felt in years? The next morning, Lillian tried to forget it ever happened. She needed her job. She couldn't afford trouble. But when she entered the hotel cafe to clean, she saw him again, sitting by the window, drinking coffee, reading the newspaper. Their eyes met. He didn't look away. Lillian turned quickly, pretending to clean, but she could feel his gaze. "Miss Cleaner," he said suddenly, his voice calm but strong. She froze. Slowly, she turned around. "I didn't get your name yesterday." "You don't need it," she replied. "It was just an accident." He smiled slightly. "Not to me." The cafe went silent. The workers looked at each other in shock. Lillian felt her heart race. She didn't know why this man, who could have anyone, was talking to her. But she refused to show fear. "Then let's keep it that way," she said, walking past him. And for the first time in his life, Lee Min-Ho, the billionaire every woman wanted, was ignored. Days passed. He kept coming to the cafe. Always at the same table. Always at the same time. Sometimes he pretended to read. Sometimes he just watched her clean, humming softly to herself. He didn't understand it, the way her voice calmed him, the way her laughter broke the silence inside his chest. Once, he caught her drawing in her small notebook during her break. A sketch of the city skyline, simple but full of life. "Did you draw this?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "I draw what I see." He studied it, surprised. "You're talented." She smiled faintly. "Talent doesn't pay rent." That answer stayed with him. The more she ignored his attention, the more he wanted to know her. Her name, her story, her pain. He called her the Black Beauty with no fear. And he realized something dangerous. He was falling for her. But not everyone was happy. When his mother, Mrs. Han, saw him talking to Lillian one afternoon, she nearly lost her temper. "Who is that woman?" she demanded later. "Someone who works at the hotel," he said. "Someone," she repeated coldly. "She's the help. You're the heir to Daehan Group. Don't embarrass this family." Min-Ho looked at her calmly. Maybe it's time this family learns what embarrassment really means. His mother's eyes burned with anger. "She will destroy your name, Min-Ho. A woman like her doesn't belong in our world." But for the first time, he didn't care. Lillian, on the other hand, wasn't blind. She saw the whispers, the stares, the way some coworkers looked at her differently now. Rumors spread like wildfire. The billionaire likes the cleaner. One evening, Min-Ho waited for her by the staff door. "I'll drive you home," he said. "You shouldn't," she replied. "People are already talking. Let them talk. All I can say is that I love and care about you. Can't you see that?" She looked at him, her voice steady. "If you're going to love me, don't do it out of rebellion," she said. "Do it because you see me, not because you want to shock them." That sentence broke something in him. Her pride, her honesty, it humbled him. And that night, he realized he didn't just admire her. He needed her. The days that followed were strange for both of them. Min-Ho, the man who once lived for business meetings and billion-won deals, now found himself thinking about a woman who wiped tables and hummed old songs. He would sit in his office, pretending to read reports, but in his mind, he could see her smile, quiet and real. Meanwhile, Lillian was fighting her own battle with her heart. She knew the truth. Men like him lived in a world built of glass, beautiful but fragile. And women like her? They were never invited inside. Still, every time he showed up at the cafe, her heart skipped a little. She tried to hide it. She failed. One night, it rained heavily. The thunder echoed through Seoul. The hotel lobby was nearly empty when Min-Ho walked in, his umbrella dripping with water. "Are you following me again?" she asked without looking up. He smiled. "Maybe I just like this place more when you're here." She rolled her eyes, but couldn't hide her laugh. "You really don't give up, do you?" "Not when something feels right," he said softly. Something in his tone made her stop. For the first time, she looked at him, really looked. He wasn't the cold, proud man she first met. He looked tired, human, and that scared her even more. The next morning, a black car waited for Lillian outside the hotel. A woman stepped out, elegant, proud, dressed in white. It was Mrs. Han. "Get in," she said. Lillian hesitated. "Why?" "Because I asked politely once. Don't make me ask twice." Inside the car, Mrs. Han's words were sharp as knives. "You've enjoyed your little fantasy, haven't you? Making my son chase you." Lillian's hands trembled, but she said nothing. Mrs. Han leaned closer. "Do you know what happens to people who stand in my family's way? They disappear." Lillian met her gaze, calm but cold. "With all due respect, ma'am, I didn't chase your son. He found me. And I'm not afraid to disappear if it means keeping my dignity." Mrs. Han froze for a moment. No one had ever spoken to her like that. The car stopped. "Get out," she said. The rain was already falling, but Lillian stepped into the rain, her heart pounding, but her pride untouched. That night, Min-Ho called her again and again. She didn't answer. He finally went to her small apartment. She opened the door slowly, eyes red from crying. "My mother came to see you, didn't she?" "Yes." He took a deep breath. "I'm sorry." "You don't need to be," she said quietly. "I told her the truth, that I'm not after your money, and that I'm not ashamed of who I am." He reached for her hand. "I know. But she—" "Stop," she whispered. "If you're doing this to prove something to your family, then don't. I don't want to be anyone's rebellion. I've fought too hard to keep my pride." He looked at her helplessly. "What if I just want you?" Her eyes softened. "Then show me not the world, not your family, not the cameras. Just me." He smiled sadly. "That might be the hardest thing I've ever had to do." "Then it's worth doing," she said. But love, in a city that watches everything, doesn't stay secret for long. One morning, the hotel lobby was full of whispers and stares. A coworker showed Lillian her phone screen. On it was a picture of her laughing beside Min-Ho at the cafe. The headline read, "Billionaire heir caught with hotel cleaner, gold digger, or true love?" Her chest tightened. The words burned. By afternoon, her phone was full of messages, strangers calling her names, saying she was using him. When she entered the staff locker room, everyone stopped talking. Even her closest friend couldn't look her in the eye. She took off her uniform slowly, folded it neatly, and placed it on the bench. "I quit," she said softly. Then she walked out. Min-Ho found out hours later. He stormed into the manager's office, demanding to know where she went. She resigned, the manager said nervously. She didn't say where she was going. For the first time in years, Min-Ho didn't care about meetings, deals, or reputation. He searched every corner of Seoul, art shops, bus stops, street cafes. Days turned into weeks. He barely slept. His mother begged him to forget her, but he couldn't. Everywhere he went, he saw her face, strong, proud, unbroken. One night, while driving through a quiet street near Hongdae, he saw a small crowd gathered around a sidewalk painter. He parked the car, stepped out, and froze. It was her, Lillian. She was painting the night sky, her hands covered in color, her eyes peaceful. She looked up slowly and saw him standing there. Their eyes met. The world stopped. He walked toward her, and when he reached her, he didn't speak at first. He just looked at her, really looked, as if memorizing her face forever. Then, quietly, he dropped to his knees before the crowd. "You taught me something," he said, his voice breaking. "That love isn't pride, it's humility." He reached for her hand. "Come home with me, Lillian." Her lips trembled. Tears fell down her cheeks. "I don't belong in your world, Min-Ho." "Then I'll build a new world, one where you do." The crowd clapped softly. Someone whispered, "Is that the billionaire?" But at that moment, they didn't care. It was just the two of them, the girl who came with nothing and the man who had everything, both finally learning what love really meant. Seoul was awake, buzzing, and unforgiving. The next morning, every news outlet carried her face, Lillian's face, and beside it, Min-Ho's name. Billionaire caught with hotel cleaner, love, or scandal? Is she using him for money? The black beauty who broke the heir's heart? Her phone never stopped ringing. Her inbox was full of messages, some cruel, some begging for her side. Lillian felt her chest tighten. She had come so far, fought so hard, and now it seemed like everything could crumble with a few careless words. But she refused to respond. She refused to be baited. Pride burned in her heart like fire. Min-Ho, meanwhile, was in the family penthouse pacing. He hadn't slept in 2 nights. His mother, Mrs. Han, sat behind her enormous desk, arms crossed, cold as ice. "Do you realize what you're doing?" she demanded. "The world is laughing at us." "At you. And you want to marry her?" "I want to be with her," he said evenly, his voice stronger than it had ever been. "And if the world is laughing, let them. I'm done caring about their opinions." Mrs. Han slammed her hand on the desk. "Done caring? Do you know what she's doing to our family name?" "She's showing me who I really am," he said. "Not the man my family made me. Not the heir everyone wants me to be. Just me. And I love her." For a moment, Mrs. Han said nothing. Her eyes narrowed. Then she stood, her figure intimidating even in the quiet room. "Love," she said slowly. "Do you know what love is? It's respect. It's honor. It's courage. And perhaps it's finding someone braver than yourself." Min-Ho blinked. He had never heard those words from her. "Lillian is that woman," he whispered. "She doesn't care about my money. She doesn't care about the scandals. She doesn't bow, doesn't beg. She's real." Mrs. Han walked to the window, silent for a long moment. Finally, she spoke, her voice softer than ever. "If she can survive the world and still stand tall, maybe she belongs in this family. Not for you. Not for us. But because she deserves it." Min-Ho's heart leapt. "You mean?" "Yes," she said, finally turning to face him. "I accept her. But she must never forget her pride or let anyone take it from her. Not even me." Lillian, meanwhile, was painting on the streets of Hongdae, unaware of the battle raging in Min-Ho's family. She was free, alive in her art, but her heart ached with longing for him. That evening, Min-Ho arrived at her small studio apartment. He didn't bring guards, cars, or cameras. Just himself. He took her hands in his, warm and trembling. "They want to ruin us," he whispered. "But I fought them all. I fought my mother. And now, she accepts you. She knows what I see." Lillian's eyes widened. "She?" "Yes," he said, smiling softly. "She finally sees what I see. And she's proud of you." Lillian's lips trembled. "After everything?" "After everything," he said. Seoul's lights reflected in puddles on the streets. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, love could survive the world. But the media storm didn't end. Paparazzi still followed them. Tabloids still printed rumors. One morning, as they walked hand in hand through the hotel lobby, Lillian felt the stares again. A reporter stepped forward. "Ms. Lillian, how does it feel to date a billionaire? Are you using him?" Lillian smiled softly, calm, radiant. "No," she said. "He's human. I see him, not his money. And he sees me, not my uniform. That's all that matters." The cameras paused. The reporters blinked. There was no anger, no shame, only truth. And at that moment, Min-Ho knew she had won. Not over him, not over his mother, but over the world that tried to judge her. That night, Lillian and Min-Ho sat together in the penthouse, painting and talking, laughing and dreaming. Min-Ho watched her quietly as she added colors to a canvas. "You were right," he whispered. "I'll never forget who you are. Pride, courage, honesty. You taught me what love really is." Lillian looked up, her eyes shining. "And you taught me that even someone with everything can still be human." They smiled, knowing the road ahead wouldn't always be easy. But now, with hearts brave and proud, nothing could shake them. The billionaire and the Black Beauty had found their own world, one where love was stronger than wealth, pride, or gossip. The city of Seoul had never seen anything like it. Everywhere they went together, whispers followed. But Lillian and Min-Ho no longer flinched. They moved as one, proud, strong, and fearless. Lillian's paintings began to sell. People loved the way she saw the world, the same world that had judged her so harshly. And Min-Ho? He was by her side at every gallery, every exhibition, his smile calm, protective, adoring. Yet, life never lets love grow without testing it. The next few weeks brought unexpected challenges. Some of Min-Ho's business rivals tried to exploit the media scandal, hoping it would shake his focus. Rumors resurfaced. Is Lillian really after his wealth? Lillian, however, had grown stronger. She refused to answer any article, refused to be drawn into arguments, and simply painted. Each brushstroke was a message of pride, courage, and love. Min-Ho, in turn, faced his family's remaining doubts. His father, distant and powerful, warned him. "Marriage is not a game. Make sure she's worthy." Min-Ho clenched his fists. "She's more than worthy. She's my heart." One cold winter evening, Lillian and Min-Ho walked along the Han River. The lights of the city reflected on the water like tiny stars. "I never imagined life like this," Lillian whispered. "Neither did I," Min-Ho said, taking her hand. "But with you, everything feels right." She looked at him, her heart softening. "Even after all the fights, the gossip, your mother, the world, you stayed." "I would fight the whole world for you," he said simply. "I did, and I will, always." They laughed softly, the wind carrying their words into the night. Spring arrived, bringing cherry blossoms and new hope. Mrs. Han visited Lillian one afternoon, unannounced. The tension was thick as Lillian poured tea. "I want to apologize," Mrs. Han began, her voice uncharacteristically gentle. "For doubting you. For testing your heart. I see now. You are not only brave and proud, but you are worthy of my son's love." Lillian felt tears sting her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "I never wanted to fight your family. I just wanted to be seen and loved for who I am." Mrs. Han nodded. "You have my respect. And now my blessing." That moment sealed it. The family had accepted her. Pride intact, love unbroken. The wedding planning began quietly. Lillian refused a giant, public spectacle. She wanted something personal, intimate love over show. Min-Ho insisted they keep it Korean traditions, hanbok for the ceremony, rituals honoring family and ancestors, but also modern touches, a gallery of her paintings, a celebration of her talent. On the wedding day, the sun rose over Seoul like a blessing. Cherry blossoms swirled in the breeze as guests gathered, family, friends, and a few media representatives who had learned to respect them both. Lillian wore a simple yet elegant white hanbok, her hair braided with flowers. Min-Ho stood tall, in traditional attire, pride and love shining in his eyes. As they exchanged vows, Lillian whispered, "I came here with nothing but dreams. You saw me, not my uniform, not my color, not my past. And you loved me for who I am." Min-Ho took her hands. "You are my heart, my courage, my world. I promise to fight for you, protect you, and love you forever." When they kissed, the crowd cheered. Seoul seemed to pause, witnessing the union of two hearts that refused to bend under the weight of the world. The media called her the Black Beauty who tamed the billionaire. But to Min-Ho, she was simply Lillian, my Black Beauty, the woman who taught him love wasn't wealth or pride. It was humility, courage, and seeing the soul of another. They moved into a penthouse overlooking the Han River. Lillian painted every morning. Min-Ho watched, still in awe. "You were right," he whispered one night. "I'll never forget who you are." "And I'll never forget what you taught me," she replied. Together, they had built a world where love was stronger than power, pride, or gossip. A world where dreams could arrive even when you had nothing, and hearts could be conquered not by wealth, but by truth. And so, their story, a story of love, pride, courage, and triumph, became a legend whispered across the streets of Seoul. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more amazing stories to come.